You're listening to the Custom Built podcast. In today's episode, we're going to discuss boundaries. Not the boundaries. Yes, boundaries. So stay tuned. We're going to talk about boundaries today. And the reason is because they are one of the highest level of self-love that we can give ourselves. And what I mean by that is without these boundaries in place, we are unable to fully love and respect ourselves and then earn that love and respect from other people. And so when I talk about boundaries, I mean this in every aspect of our lives. So that's physical, emotional, mental, all of that. And it's so important to just really, like I said, it's just like one of those highest form of self-love that we can give ourselves. And let's just go by describing what a boundary is, right? A definition. And at its very layman's term, a boundary is a limit that is set. So when we like you can't pass that, right? So there's a limit. That's our boundary. And that goes for, I mean, just think about it in the sense of exercising or stretching our bodies, right? We can physically feel our body's limit when we're in a stretch. If our body's saying like, "Hey, you go any further than this, we're really going to hurt ourselves." So you'd stop because you know that's your limit. Now, in exercise, it's a little different because you can expand your limits and you want to most of the time, right? But for when it comes to our physical, emotional, and mental boundaries, we want to keep those firm. Those are firm, like almost like a fence that's impenetrable. You can't cross it. So there is a boundary there that you need to set firm into not allowing anybody to cross it. And that includes ourselves. So for example, we'll just go right into my own little story here and the experiences that I've had because I thought I was so good at keeping boundaries. And it turns out I wasn't all that good at all. And that's not saying I'm terrible at it. It just means that there was lots of room for me to grow in that boundary keeping. And, it was a little bit humbling once I realized how much I wasn't really holding my boundaries when I was like, I got boundaries. They're really good. You got to do them too. So this is coming from a place of where I've learned to get my boundaries in place and my experiences of thinking I had them and didn't have them. So this isn't me on my high horse telling you you need to have these and do this. This is really just some advice to really like refocus on yourself and find out where have you maybe placed a boundary or thought you had a boundary and realize that you don't, right? It's like kind of like those little things that we tell ourselves because like today I'm going to go to the gym, right? And then you didn't go to the gym. And then you're like, man, I didn't do what I said. Our words are super powerful. And when our words are powerful, it really transcends to this whole outside of like this boundary holding. So like words are powerful, you're powerful, your boundaries are powerful. And it's about self-respect and self-love when it comes to this. So for boundary keeping specifically, I thought I was super good at it. So like in my job, I was like, these are the hours I'm working. These are the hours that I will respond to text, emails, phone calls. If it's not an emergency, which, I'm probably not the person you need to be contacting anyway in a moment of an emergency, I'm not answering the call or the email or the text. You can wait until the morning when I'm working during my regular hours. And I was good about that. Like for the most part, really good at that. Same goes for like weekends. I'm not working today. I'm off. I have a family. This is my life. And I was really good for a while about like managing my time so I can make time for myself to work out and keep myself healthy and moving. But as things got more difficult and things were added to my plate, it became easier for me to slip on my boundaries. So I had a client that I really liked, and I went above and beyond for this person. And that included, in my mind, answering text messages and calls a little later than I would have because I knew they traveled a lot and it was hard to really get a hold of them. But that wasn't really respecting my own boundaries. That was, folding when I didn't really need to. And and fold, that's not a really great way to say it, like folding when I don't really need to. I mean, there's compromise is really what I mean. Like, so there's compromises, but when it comes to your boundaries, there's no compromising in boundaries. Boundaries need to stay firm, and that's where I was having a hard time. I thought of boundaries as like this is a movable line that you adjust as you need to. So like when life gets hard, it's easier to move that boundary out just a little bit wider just to make it a little easier and you're not having a lot of tension or any other items coming at you that are making your life a little bit more difficult. Boundaries I thought were something that you can move as you need them to. But it really turns out that boundaries need to be firm and they need to be unmovable. I think that's a word, but you know what? I'm not great with words, guys. So you can laugh with me and we can laugh about the silly words that I use or make up. And I'm also not great at spelling. So just know this. If you see some spelling that's really silly, we can laugh about it because that's not where I'm at. So you're going to hear me say silly words and I'm going to think they're words and then they're not. And we're going to laugh and maybe we just turn them into words and that's just going to be what it is, right? So these unmovable boundaries are where we need to be. So I recently got really frustrated. And if you're into human design, I am a generator. So when I'm out of alignment with myself, frustration is like the number one sign. And so for me, when I get frustrated, I find it really beautiful because it allows me to really get into my feelings. So I get so frustrated that it allows me to sit with that frustration. It's like, what is going on? What is happening and what do I need to do to change it? So recently I got really frustrated and I was all up in that feeling and I'm angry and I'm just irritated and I'm like, it's all their fault. Like this is all because of X, Y, and Z and this person's doing that to me and I have my minute of like wallowing, right? And then I sit with it a little bit longer. And while I'm working through this frustration, I'm figuring out what am I going to change? Because really, ultimately, it comes down to what I can control. And I can't control other people, but I can control myself, right? And just like I tell my children, like, you can't control how other people feel, but I can control how I feel and, well, not feel, but react to those feelings. So, as I'm sitting there, I'm thinking it through and I realize that I have a part to play in this frustration. So I wasn't respecting my own boundaries. Instead of putting up a boundary where I'm not going to be interacting with somebody who is not being very respectful to me, instead of stepping away and not being in their presence, I allowed myself to be in those presence. So then when I wasn't being treated in a way that I felt was respectful, that in general people should be treated as, I stayed around and I didn't need to. It was something that I was trying to keep the peace for and not trying to like rock the boat. And that's another part that I've realized in my journey of life is that I'm afraid of people's reactions. It's why I hesitated so long for making the big choice of, quitting my job to really go all in on my business and be here. And it's a lot of the reason why I avoided other things in my life. And it's just, again, it's like one of those things that it's like, this is self love. Like, you really need to take care of yourself because what am I doing it for? Other people, and what they don't care. They want to know about themselves. They care about themselves. We are very selfish people creatures, humans in that sense. Like, people don't care about your life and they might have opinions and everything else, but ultimately, like, it's up to you to really care the most about what you're doing. And if we're doing it for other people, then I mean, why? Why would you do it for other people? Because it's never going to be enough, right? There's this feeling that a lot of people have, and myself included, it's just like, I'm not enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not cool enough. I'm not good enough, right? So if we have this aspiration of being something for other people, you'll never be enough. So when you turn it into yourself and you find what you really care about and you set the boundaries of, I'm not going to allow people to ignore me. And if they're going to ignore me, I'm going to remove myself from the situation. You don't have to have a confrontation about it. You just know that you don't need to spend your time around that and you can remove yourself from that. And just setting up these boundaries like that, it's just It allows you to remember that you are powerful and that you are protecting yourself. And it becomes more about you than other people. So it's okay to be selfish in that sense because it's not selfish at all. Because what you're doing now is showing other people that you aren't going to tolerate things. And it's easy when it's like family or people that we really love to push those boundaries. And it's easy for us sometimes to allow them to because it's just easier for us to not have confrontation. But when you do that, you start having resentment, you start having frustration, and then you're in a middle of a holiday while you're trying to figure out why is my life like this and why like this is a repetitive action that keeps happening and why. And instead of just really sitting with it and saying, wait, am I holding my boundaries? Am I being true to myself? And the answer is maybe not, because if you're having the frustration of people treating you a certain way and you're in this certain situation over and over again, why? You got to take a little bit of ownership on that. If you're allowing people to continue crossing a boundary, you're not honoring your own boundary. So, what can you do and think about in ways that you're holding a boundary or not holding a boundary? Are you allowing people to treat you a certain way? Are you not giving yourself space to really grow and allowing yourself to have that time to grow? Are you not making sure you make that space? Are you allowing people to talk to you in a certain way or treat you in a certain way emotionally? Are you allowing people and energetically, are you allowing people to suck your energy out? I've had to really cut back on some of the people that I talk to, because when I'm done talking with them, my energy is so depleted and I'm just over it. I'm over everything. And I don't like that feeling. And so for me, if I want to be productive and I want to feel good, I need to really cut back on people that are just like energy vampires. And again, it's okay to put these boundaries in because it just shows that you're protecting yourself and loving yourself and giving yourself that space to really honor you and get to your best self and stay in alignment with yourself. And I know this is a custom built podcast, but this custom built podcast is really about, you know, custom building your life into a life that is meaningful for you and that your home is meaningful and intentional, and you're living an intentional life and you're really taking the time to think about what you're doing in your life. So there's no more room to being a passive passenger if you're here with me right now, right? We're no longer living our lives to go and be something or somebody that somebody else thinks we should be. All right. It's not about anybody else, it's about us. And I've been going to these events and having these experiences where I finally am understanding that for so long I put people on a pedestal, and it just meant like they seemed really successful, so they are better than me, or they're older than me, so they're smarter than me, they know more than me, that they treat, the way they treat people is because of their life. Like, no, I'm no longer putting people on a pedestal, because we are literally one human race. We are all connected, we are all one. And to really fully understand that, like, I had to be in an experience where I was surrounded by people that were arguably more successful than me in their businesses, right? So we'll just focus on that. I don't know about their lives. I just know in business, they are like where I want to be one day. And so I'm surrounded by these people that I'm going to look up and have inspiration from and just like listen to their growth and their path and their journey. And I'm just blown away. But you know what I'm not doing this time? I'm not putting them on this pedestal like they are some other person, like some godly person that's able to do this and I can't. It's no longer like that for me. I'm watching these people have similar experiences to me that were able to break through the bullshit, right, that we tell ourselves, and put these boundaries in place so that they can grow and be the people that they are proud to be, and that they are aligned with themselves, and that they are who they are so proud to be. So as I'm here and I'm experiencing this group of people and we're doing these meditations and I'm literally vibrating and I can feel us all as one, I am now seeing that my boundaries are just for me, and that it doesn't matter if you're older than me, if you're my boss, if you hold a higher position of power in a corporate sense, right? We are still one person, and I'm still not going to allow you to treat me in a certain way. And if you are going to treat me in that certain way, I will not be here for it. I am not going to be in a conversation around it. I am not going to subject myself to experience that. And so, knowing and having that understanding of just all of us being one person, in by one person I mean like we are one, we are interconnected, we are all a human race, right? We are all equal in that sense. We might have different views, we might have different economical statuses, but that doesn't mean we're different people. Like, no one's better than anybody else. We are literally all one. We are all connected, interconnected. And we might have different views, like I said, and we might not agree with those views, but that doesn't mean someone is better or worse than you because they don't share the same thoughts as you. And because they make more money than you doesn't mean they are better or more powerful than you. It just means that they are more aligned and able to get to where they want to be. That's not fully true. Some people make a lot of money and they're not aligned in their lives, but I think you could tell by their presence and how they are operating around you. So you can really tell if somebody's like just you can see when someone's stressed out and just burnt out, right? And not holding boundaries will lead into burnout, resentment, frustration. And so the big point is boundaries are good, and they're really difficult, and they are really uncomfortable. So as I'm working on strengthening my own boundaries and putting myself in these uncomfortable but necessary positions, and they're uncomfortable for me because like I said, I have a fear of people's reactions that I am working through, but I've recognized it. It was something that came to me through my journey of quitting my job. I said, oh no, I'm not telling this person because I'm worried about their reaction because they are a reactive person, but their reaction's not my responsibility. And what I do and what I say, it's not my responsibility to manage their reactions or their feelings. That is theirs to have. And my feelings are mine to have. My reactions are mine. And again, by setting a boundary and realizing this, I can be less afraid of people's reactions because knowing that it's not my responsibility, that is theirs. And if I'm coming from a place of good intention and kindness, then I can feel good about the decisions I make and if they affect other people. And typically, if they're affecting other people, it's because it's their emotions that are attached to it. And how can how can you detach from the reactions of other people and allow yourself to really live fully for you? So, setting boundaries, like I said, is the one of the highest forms of self-love because you're protecting yourself, you're honoring yourself, and it's really empowering when you just say, you know what, enough is enough. I am not going to allow you to speak to me that way. I'm not going to be here for it. I'm not going to allow clients to just come in to talk to me however they want because they're a client and I'm providing a service. No, it doesn't work like that. We're all human beings. All right. Set the boundary. It's okay to say, you know what, I would love to have this conversation with you, but I cannot have it in this form, right? If you want to come to talk to me in a more kinder way, in a way that, you could speak to me like we're equals, great. I'm all here for it. But until then, I'm going to remove myself and, you know, good luck. I don't know. So, not comfortable conversations at all, but necessary. And it's necessary to protect yourself and give yourself that self love and that boundary. And it's safe to do so. Okay. I want you guys to really, really understand that it's safe to set boundaries and it's safe to be you. And what other people think doesn't really matter, even though we all put a lot of weight in it. All of us, right? We're all guilty of it. We all have done it at least at some point. Like, oh no, this person said I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. Like, if you can tell me a time in your life, I want to meet the person that's never, ever had that experience. And I want to just have a really amazing conversation. So if you're out there, please DM me. Otherwise, please tell me more about what boundaries that you have not held on to, or maybe a time where you're like, man, I really didn't feel good enough for this, and then I realized I was. I just want to hear all your stories. So if this is really resonating with you, please DM me, send me an email, anything. I just want to hear your side. But we're here together. Let's set boundaries. This is my journey. You guys are here with me. I'll share a little bit more about my history if you'd like on another episode where I've grown from in my journey and in really getting to this place. But you're here along with me, and I'm really appreciative that if you're listening still and you're still here with me while we go through this. And, this is the start. So I know these podcasts aren't perfect. My equipment's not perfect. I'm not perfect. I'm not trying to be perfect. I really want you guys to see it from the beginning. And this is really outside my comfort level because I would play small. So this year, right, we're in 2025 now that these podcasts are coming out in the actual time that I'm recording. So today is the 12th of January in 2025. And so for me, my big thing this year is just stop playing small. Okay. I have been afraid to come out and face the world because of people's reactions and what they may think of me. And it doesn't really matter, guys. Like, I'm here. Okay. So take this as your inspiration. If you're hiding, all right, I don't want you to hide anymore. Come out, come out and play, and take this journey with me. So thank you for hanging out and experiencing this, and I hope you stick around so we can see where this goes. And I'm just really excited to really take you down this road of just, like I said, custom building your life, custom building your homes, make them, your sanctuaries, make them meaningful for you, make your life meaningful. I just want you all to have the richest life and most gratifying. Is that the word I'm looking for? I don't know. But I just want you guys to just feel so fulfilled in all of what you do, and in your home, in your life, in your jobs, whatever you choose to do. And if there's any way that I'm able to inspire you and empower you to get there, I mean, then I am just internally thankful that we were able to come across each other's paths. So thank you for listening today. Please set your boundaries. Let's discuss further what those boundaries mean to you. And I'll catch you on the next episode. Have a great day. Thank you for hanging out today. If you liked what you heard, please make sure you hit subscribe. And I hope to see you again next week. Have a good one. Bye-bye.